Welcome to the latest edition of the Fertilizer Market Report, dated February 21st, 2024. Yara's outlook and Genesis Fertilizers. Kicking off with some exciting news, Yara's outlook is giving a thumbs up to Genesis Fertilizers. Below are two excerpts from Yara's Q4 earnings report outlook, which in our view supports the Genesis Fertilizers business plan. Quote, "In both Europe and the US, nitrogen supply is so far running behind a normal season, indicating a tighter global balance for the first half of 2024. The start of 2024 has seen increased buying activity and higher prices, signaling a potential volume catch-up into the main application season in the Northern Hemisphere." End quote. Quote, "The peak of global urea capacity additions is now behind us, with industry consultant projections showing supply growth well below trend consumption growth from 2024 and onwards, and a historically low number of new projects under construction, indicating a tighter supply-demand balance in the coming years." End quote. Could this mean a tighter global balance for the first half of 2024? Interesting times ahead, right? The Great Reset in Global Agribusiness. Now let's talk about this fascinating article from Agribusiness Global, which outlines this year's forecasted 9 black swan events expected in agriculture. What we found interesting is the view that global agribusiness today is being compared to the 1970s and 1980s. This article outlines how agriculture could be impacted in 2024 by stagflation, China, energy, political deglobalization, interest rates, labor migration, climate, regulations, and technology. Time for another look at potash fertilizer. In an article in Grain News, Les Henry, professor soil science, University of Saskatchewan, writes how Western Canadian soil is being robbed of potash and the potential consequences. The article explains the current soil test summary data by AgVise Laboratories, which shows the soil potash situation after the 2023 crop. Saskatchewan has other older data showing potash deficiencies in the province's northwest and north central regions. North America urea last week. According to Green Markets, urea prices in Western Canada were flat week on week, in the range of 720 to 765 Canadian dollars per metric ton delivered price. The urea market in Eastern Canada tightened week on week to a range of 680 to 725 Canadian dollars per metric ton free on board in Eastern Canada, up from the previous week's low of 645 Canadian dollars per metric ton free on board. NOLA urea price range tightened and was in the range of 345 to 350 US dollars per stone, from a range of 345 to 355 US dollars per stone the previous week. On February 1st, we highlighted that the price difference between urea in Western Canada and NOLA, quote, should approximately match the urea price at NOLA plus freight to Western Canada, end quote. We are nearing that point, especially after the recent reduction in the spread from about 307 Canadian dollars per metric ton on November 24th to 166 Canadian dollars per metric ton on January 26th. The 5-year average spread stands at 168 Canadian dollars per metric ton. This suggests that if NOLA urea prices continue to climb, Western Canada is likely to experience higher prices heading into spring. The following week, that spread dropped to 153 Canadian dollars per metric ton on the back of another increase in NOLA prices. Since then, over the past 2 weeks, urea Western Canada delivered prices rallied over 10%. We believe that there could be more upside going into the spring season. North America phosphate last week. According to Green Markets, the latest delivered MAP prices were flat week on week in Western Canada in a range of 1,120 to 1,130 Canadian dollars per metric ton. MAP prices have risen 38% since early July 2023 in Western Canada. The latest map offers in Eastern Canada increased slightly to a range of 995 Canadian dollars per metric ton free on board, from the previous week's range of 985 to 993 Canadian dollars per metric ton. MAP NOLA prices were down slightly to a range of $600 and $615 US dollars per stone. Thank you for joining us in this edition of the Fertilizer Market Report. We hope these insights prove valuable to your understanding of the current trends and developments in the agriculture and fertilizer industries. The Genesis Fertilizers Market Report is not intended as financial advice. Please visit us at www.genesisfertilizers.com/news for our complete market report and links to articles mentioned in this report. Stay tuned for more updates and feel free to reach out with any questions or comments.